Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of A Handful of Hope. Today, I am so happy and grateful to have Trina with us today, who is the founder of Go for Goals Accountability Partner Services. She started a company after spending thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours in the personal development world when she discovered the one thing that stood out, helping her to get from where she was to where she currently is, was her daily accountability partner calls. In the spirit of giving back, she provides an affordable way to get clients on their way to massive success without the high cost of private coaches until they can afford one. Trina is endorsed by her friend and mentor, Jack Canfield, a leader in thought and professional development, author of the massively successful book, The Success Principles, star of the documentary, The Secret, and co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul book series. She was raised in Bellingham, Washington by an abusive stepfather before relocating to Southern California with her mother at age 16, where she still resides today with her daughter and grandson. A failed marriage to an alcoholic led her to delve into the world of personal development and make massive changes in a relatively short period of time, spreading the joy of taking charge of your life and not living as a victim. Trina currently is authoring a book soon to be published with the help of Jack Canfield about her experiences, speaks publicly about the effects of responsibility plus accountability, and will be hosting several upcoming women's retreats. Trina, welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Yeah, me too. This is such a real treat, and I think that you have such a unique insight and expertise to speak on today, because one of the things that we see playing out at the time of this recording, it's April 10th. We're right in the middle of the Corona COVID epidemic or pandemic. I guess people are on lockdown, and there's a lot of uncertainty about what the future is going to hold. There's a lot of uncertainty about whether it's business, education, relationships. And I feel like I keep hearing people say a lot is, I don't know what to decide. I don't know which way to go. I don't know what to choose. And I know you always speak about how important making a decision is. Maybe you can touch on that a little bit.
You know, it was funny. Jack wrote this book called The Success Principles, and I call it my other Bible. I have a copy of it right here, and it's about about the same thickness as my Bible. So this is my second Bible, and it's a lot of principles and a lot of things that you want to, put it into your life and start using it. And having gone through 67 principles, there was a couple that really stood out to me that made a big difference in my life. Number one being the accountability, having somebody check in with me. But before I even needed someone to check in with me, I had to decide what it is I was going to do. I had to make a decision. I was going to, finish this book. I was going to do this documentary. I was going to do this online training. I was going to clean out the garage, whatever it was. If you're thinking about it, well, maybe I should do this, or maybe I should do that, or I don't know what to do, then you're not going to complete anything because you're just thinking. It's like popcorn, just like little thoughts are, oh, I should, do this, do this, do this. But once you decide, okay, I'm going to buy a black car, I'm going to clean out the garage. I made a decision. Basically, I've cut off. Once I've decided to do it, I'm doing it. There's not anything, there's no more popcorn coming up, like red car, blue car, green car, white car. I decided on a black car. So now I'm going to stop looking at cars that aren't black, right? Then you can just keep narrowing it down.
What keeps people from deciding? Because I feel like I'm 100% with you, and I've always found there's such a tremendous power in deciding. But I also see so many people struggle, and they almost like kind of flounder in that place of indecision. What is it that you usually see for people as their resistance to deciding?
Well, not deciding is a decision in itself. You can decide not to decide. So it is not making a decision is keeping you from the next step, which would be making a commitment to it. And maybe you're just not ready to commit to it yet. It's very possible that it's like, oh, I could have a red car, green car, white car, blue car. But once I decide I want the black car, now I have to commit to it. Then I'm going to take action and I'm going to go actually buy it. And then I'm going to have accountability with people that I decided, made the commitment, went and bought it. and now I'm going to pull up at home with a black car. But by not making a decision, I didn't have to take those next 3 steps, which is commit, take action, get an accountability partner. So people may not want to make a decision because that's just one aspect of it. Yeah.
Do you feel, Trina, because it's interesting to hear you say that, and do you feel that, my curiosity is do you feel, or have you experienced that most people then maybe know what they need to decide, but they're afraid of the commitment piece that follows it?
Yes. Or they're afraid, so a lot of us know, let's just say if you're in an abusive relationship, you know that you need to not be in that relationship. But then we have a fear. A fear will come up like, will I be alone? What if nobody else loves me? Or fear of embarrassment, like when someone says, what happened? Why are you and John not together? Then we have a fear of letting other people down, So I think fear is probably the number one reason that people don't make a decision.
God, that's so profound, because I as you're talking, I can remember being in some of my earliest relationships and knowing that that was not a good or healthy relationship to be in, but having that fear voice popping up saying, you'll be alone, nobody will love you, you'll be, failure, you'll be this, you'll be that. And in that moment, it's seeming like that those were such truths, and making that time seem like it was such a long period of time that I was just unwilling to decide. Or I guess even more than that, maybe sometimes I would tip my toes into the discussion of it, but there was never the commitment to it. It was kind of like, yeah, okay, never mind. Let's fix this and make it work again.
Because it got uncomfortable, probably.
Yeah, it got super uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
What do you advise people? So because I imagine like people, even those ones who are the toe dippers, so to speak, how do they work through that discomfort? How do they make it through that? Because I found that once we get through that uncomfortable piece, that's usually where we start to see magic happen. But that uncomfortable piece can be so unbelievably uncomfortable at first. How do you help people, or how do people work through that?
Well, it depends. Are you working through it because you want to stay with the person, or are you working through it because you decided you don't want to be in that relationship anymore? Like for me, I was married to an alcoholic, and so I was able to work through it and divorce him, and I still love him and care about him. I just don't want to be married to him, and so I don't want that in my life. Whereas, are you asking like, how do you get through the hard stuff and then stay together? It's kind of the same road that you're going on. It just has 2 different endings. You're either going to take the yellow brick road or the red brick road. It's one or the other that you're going to do. So I noticed, and I'm sure all of you out there noticed, when you decide, because you've broken up with someone and decided, I'm not going to be with that person anymore, and you're done, right?
Yeah.
Because once you decided not to be with that person, you cut off all other options. It doesn't matter what they say, if they're crying, if they're sad, if they're throwing things at you, if they're threatening to kill themselves, because that's what happens when people break up with people. When you're the person being broken up with, it's the end of the world. But when you're the person doing the breaking up, either you haven't decided, and so now it's really hard because you haven't decided to break up with them. But we all know once we decided, their tears didn't matter. Like all of this stuff that they had done, it becomes very simple. Once you've decided, it doesn't matter what they say.
It's almost like, what do they say? It's like the light switch gets flipped on or off, right?
Yes.
All of a sudden.
Yes. And it's the same thing like with what we were just talking about earlier about like if you're going to go buy a car, you're going to clean out the garage, or you're going to write a book. Once you decide to do it, it's super easy. Oh, that's the thing that so I talk about Jack Canfield a lot. It's 99%'s a bitch, 100%'s a breeze. So the decision is, if you're at 99%, you haven't made a decision.
Yeah.
That's where it's hard. I don't know what to do. 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 And then 100% is like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Then it's easy breezy.
And I feel like that's such a struggle right now, right? Is so many people with all the uncertainty are not sure what they should do, versus if they're just to decide on something, even if it might not be or seem like the most natural or normal thing to do, but you decide to do something that you held the belief that that is the thing that you need to do. It would be better than sitting in that indecision going, what to do, what to do, what to do, right?
Yes. Just decide and do. There's a saying that says, ready, aim, fire. And
Mm-hmm.
so people will say, okay, I'm ready. And they'll go, red car, blue car, green car. They're like aiming. They're spending all this time aiming when it's better just to fire. Just ready, red car. Then you go down and you're going to get the red car. You decided on the red car. And then as you're into that thing, you've decided that this is what you're going to do, you're going to get feedback. And it may not be that maybe you got pulled over 3 times on the way home from the dealership driving this fancy red car. Maybe you might decide, I think I'm going to take that back and get a different color car because I didn't realize that I was going to get pulled over every 5 seconds driving a fast red, sports car, right? So it's okay if you decide and it doesn't work out the way that you want, but you're not going to know until you go and do it. You have to go out and take action and make the decision. Otherwise, you're just sitting there doing nothing. It's like it says on my Facebook page, life without goals, football without goals is just people running up and down a field.
Huh.
Right? I don't want to spend my life just running up and down the field like a chicken with my head cut off, like not with no destination.
I so appreciate the car analogy because as you were talking, I'm thinking back to when last time I bought a car, and I didn't have to. My car I had at the time was working okay. I have some back problems, and so the reason I was looking for one is I wanted one where it would be more ergonomic for my back and just easier to get in and out of.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in massive resistance to even looking for a car for so long because it just seemed silly to go get a car when I had 4 wheels that still worked. And I drug my feet. And then all of a sudden, once there was like a light switch where it was all of a sudden, okay, I am going to get a car. And then it was a very succinct process. Okay, now we go through and figure out which ones I fit in the best. Like when I go and sit down, which ones I fit in the best where I'm not like going like this and, hurting my spine. And then once it was that, and you figure that out, then it was a really quick decision-making process afterwards. But it was that initial decision of getting through it. It was like pulling teeth. It was just walking back and forth. And so much energy was lost and wasted on that indecision space.
Yes, just do it. This is my coach is like, Trina, he goes, you're always taking action. Like you have a thought and you just do it. And I'm like, I didn't used to be that way. I realized that I was wasting a lot of time in that indecision, of not knowing. It's like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But once I decided, it's like, oh, I'm moving. And then the next spot is like, okay, where do I want to live? And then I decide where I want to live. And then I go find a house in the area where I want to live.
Yeah.
Like it's very easy once you just make a decision. The hard part is in the indecision.
Talk to us about taking action, Trina, because I think people don't understand that all the way. Because sometimes I feel like people might even get to the point where they got a decision, they're ready to commit to it, but then they see action as this huge, big piece. It's like, I'm here, the top of the mountain's here, and I got to get from here to there in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
And because of that, they look up and they say,
yeah, it's like the fight, flight, or freeze.
Talk to us about taking action.
I call it accountabiliphobia is another thing that I joke around about. So you make a commit, you decide. So go back to the car analogy. I am going to buy a black car. I'm going to buy a black brand new 2020 Ford Fusion. That's the car. I say that because I have a 2019. So I made the decision. Then the next step, what you want to do is commit to it. And that's different than making a decision. When you commit to something, is you have to tell somebody. You need to go tell someone that you're going to do this. So that is the step in between that and the action. If you go tell your kids, hey, I'm going to go buy a new Ford Fusion, or you call your mom or your friends and say, hey, I'm going to go buy a black Jeep Cherokee, you've made a commitment to it. Mm-hmm. And so that's really the next step. It's like, I've committed, I'm doing this, this is what's going to happen. And you can tell yourself that, but that's just the decision. I decided to buy a black car. So the commitment really lies in telling another person. So tell somebody, doesn't matter who, tell somebody that you're going to do it. And then the third step is to actually take the action. And that's where people, and that's kind of where I come in with my accountability business. But what happens is, if you know that you should drink more water and you're thinking about ways that you're going to get healthy, then you decide, I need to be healthier and I need to drink 8 glasses of water every day. And then you go to your trainer or your husband or whoever and say, I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water every day. Then you have to so you've committed to it. And now you've got to take action. You're going to go over to the water dispenser and you're going to fill up a glass of water. The challenge is going from drinking coffee and Diet Coke every day to drinking 8 glasses of water is probably not going to happen. You might have a glass of water or 2 glasses of water, and then you're not going to drink any more water the rest of the day. You're going to have another Diet Coke and maybe another cup of coffee. And then you're going to wake up the next morning and you're going to think, I suck. I didn't follow it. I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And then you start to feel bad about yourself. And we're being very generic here, but this could go for, I'm going to get more clients. I'm going to make more posts on Facebook. I'm going to increase my bottom line. I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to clean out the garage, whatever it is, anything. If your goal is to go from here to here, you're going to do it a little bit at a time so that you can build up your self-confidence bone. Because I don't have a lot of confidence in myself that I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water. And so what you want to do is do something that's doable. So I'm going to have 1 glass of water tomorrow. And then when you wake up in the morning, if you haven't had that glass of water and and here's the great thing about an accountability partner, is somebody's going to check in with you. Did you have that water? I will run to the sink and get a glass of water and drink it before the phone rings. Because I don't want to tell that person I did not drink that 1 glass of water. I couldn't drink 1 glass of water. I will make myself do it. I could, take 1 bag of trash out of the garage. I can write 1 page of my book or 2 paragraphs. If I'm not writing a page, write a paragraph. Write a couple of lines. Or 250 words is a page, right? So you have to break it down into very small pieces so that you can accomplish them, so that you start to build that self-confidence bone. And once you have that, you can do anything. So if you're drinking, a glass of water every day, at the end of the week, you drank 7 glasses of water. And then, next week you'll drink 2 glasses of water every day, and then 3 glasses of water. And then pretty soon, maybe you're not drinking Coke so much because you're full from the water. And now, 4 months from now, you only drink water. You don't drink coffee or Diet Coke or soda at all, and you're just addicted to water.
Yeah, I love that you said it that way, because you hear action a lot of times with big words with it, big, massive action. And I think that a lot of times that can be it can be difficult to do because we don't even know what that is. It's, again, we're here, we haven't figured out how to start climbing, and we're trying to get all the way to the top right away.
Yeah.
And in this time where there's all this disruption, right, and people might feel like there's so much they have to do, there's so many things they got to do for their business, there's so many things they have to do for any facet of their life, and they're looking at, there's so many broken pieces, and if we try to tackle everything at once, it seems like that's where we're here, and we just spend most of the time looking up and getting frozen in the indecision, right? But what I'm hearing you say is, like, it's not about, if our goal is 8 glasses of water a day, it's not about drinking all 8 in one day. It's about getting through that first one first and being consistent with that, and then tackling the second one, then tackling the third one, then tackling the fourth one. And before you know it, you have momentum on your side, right? And then your ascent is becoming so much more. So even if we're looking at that in our business, right? It's not all these things. It's that one. It's almost like giving yourself that one win, right? Take an action on the win that you can get.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. There's another thing. I just want to share real quick.
Yeah.
My yoga, I do yoga with Adrienne on YouTube. Like every day I do like the beginner's guide to yoga. It's not doing the yoga that's hard. The hardest part is turning on my TV and playing the YouTube. That's it. Because if I turn on yoga and she's sitting on the mat and she's like, okay, good morning, I'm already on my mat.
Hmm.
If I turn it on and it's there, I'm doing it. If I pour a glass of water, I'm drinking it. The hard part is going over and filling up the glass.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right? Just do it. Just start. You have to start. We'll just
Yeah.
walk over there and put water in the glass.
How critical, in your opinion, Trina, is accountability to success? And do you recommend, can people be personally accountable to themselves at the same level they can be accountable to someone else?
So when we're excited about something, yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited about my business. I'm like constantly like, I can do this and I'm working on that and I'm updating this website and I'm doing this, that, and the other. You know what I'm not really good at? Marketing.
Hmm.
Like putting like tons of content out there, getting people to follow me, and that's not fun for me. So I don't want to do that. It's very easy to be accountable for the fun stuff. We don't need an accountability partner for the stuff that's fun and the stuff that we already have. If you have a job, you have a boss, and if you don't do your work, you're not going to get paid or you'll lose your job. So your boss is your accountability partner. Your kids, if you don't make dinner or clean up the house, you're going to get in trouble. The kids are going to let you have it. You know, the neighbors are going to call CPS on you. There's
Yeah.
accountability partners built in to our system in our world. But if it's something that is going to exponentially change our lives, that we know we should do. We like, you know, I should lose 20 to 30 pounds. I should, you know, if I cleaned out the garage, you know, then I could put my car inside and I wouldn't have to wash my car twice a week.
Yeah.
Because it would be parked in, like, there's all kinds of things. Like those things will make our lives better. If I wrote a book about accountability partners, then I could promote this book and everybody would know me as this famous author who wrote this book. And this would change my life if I wrote a book. But I get so caught up in doing the dishes and cleaning the house and working this job and taking care of the kids that all of a sudden it's 3 or 4 in the afternoon and I'm like, oh, I didn't start writing that book yet. Because that's the last thing that people do, is take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
So true.
Yeah. So I think, yes, in answer to your question, the only thing you need an accountability partner for is for the things that you want to do for yourself. You don't need
That
one.
matters to you,
Yes.
for you. Get
Yes.
that accountability.
Yes.
Trina, people are at home, sheltering in place, lockdown, quarantine, whatever the term is. It seems like every day there's 5 new terms. Anyways, they're spending more time in their 4 walls right now. If you could recommend one podcast people listen to during this time, what podcast would you recommend?
You know, there's some really amazing podcasts out there and people that are doing fantastic stuff. I think my friend Henry Johnstone has one called The Inner Warrior. And I was lucky enough, it's a lot of men that are on there, but I think it's really good for women to listen to it too. And in addition, like, even though it's mostly men on there, as women, we are our own inner warriors. You know, we're fighting for ourselves too. So I really enjoy that podcast.
Book you'd recommend people read?
Do you know, probably one of the easiest game-changing books is Loving What Is by Byron Katie. And so right now, as we're all kind of struggling with the world and why is this happening and this pandemic that's going around, it was going to happen. And if we can spend our time fighting against it or accepting it's like, hey, this is happening, and then what can we do to help? That's a great book. Byron Katie is the name of the author.
Loving What Is. And movie or documentary you'd recommend people watch?
You know, I just watched this really cool one the other night. I absolutely loved it. It was called Self-Made, the story of Madam C.J. Walker. She was the first Black female millionaire in the United States. And her story, let me tell you, you know, we think our lives were bad and how hard things are for us now as business builders. But imagine being in the United States. I think her next door neighbor, she lived next to the Rockefellers or the Carnegies or something like that. But
Wow.
amazing story. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that one come up a few times. I'm going to definitely add that to my, it's on Netflix, I think, right?
It's on Netflix. It's called Self-Made. If you just Google Self-Made, it'll come up. I just, anything that talks about how people got from where they were to where they wanted to be. The stories are interesting.
I think right now, especially those stories are so much more important too, because the relevance to now where so many people may feel like they're at the bottom, they're looking at the top, and it seems like such an impossible climb, but to look at somebody else's story and see that, hey, if they could do it, and I'm starting with this many more advantages as they are, I
Yeah.
certainly can probably make the climb too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's another docu-series on, I think it was like on the History Channel, but I can't remember where we can see it, maybe on YouTube. But it talks about Andrew Carnegie and the Rockefellers and Henry Ford. And like back then they didn't have all the stuff that we had now, how it shaped America and changed our world, and really going out there and learning to ask the right people and talk to the right people is, yeah, pretty amazing.
Trina, this has been incredible. Everyone, you're going to want to rewatch this and re-listen. I think that what Trina really did here so magnificently, if I could talk, was she laid out a simple 4-step formula for really achieving anything and everything you want. And she gave such great examples from anything from working through a relationship to buying a car to doing work in your business. It's really coming down those fundamental things, right? Of deciding, committing, taking action, and then having some sort of accountability with it to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Because one thing that's really important to remember, and I think Trina really touched on this well, everybody's a beginner. Everybody starts somewhere, and everybody is also, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, expert, there's always a next level for all of us.
Mhm.
But the process is still the same, which is what's so incredible about this. Is it levels the playing field. So
Yeah.
even if you're the beginner going against here, the process is still the same. Each one has to make a decision. Each one then has to make a commitment. Each one has to take some action, and then probably some more action. And each one needs to rely on some accountability to get them there. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you're not in a space already, make a decision right now. This is probably the best time in your life to make some sort of decision, even if it seems a little off or uncomfortable. Make a decision and make a commitment that what that's going to be on their side. Take some action and get some accountability. Because I loved what you said too, Trina, about the things that are the most important to have accountability are the things that really should be the ones that mean the most to us. And
Yeah.
we are all so unbelievably guilty of not taking care of and not prioritizing ourselves. And maybe, just maybe, if we start securing our oxygen masks first now before
Yeah.
assisting everyone else, we might just find that we all thrive through this much better, and we come out of it much more capable to serve our families, our friends, our communities, our customers and clients. And Trina, you've spoken so fantastically on this. I'm so grateful for your time, your energy, your presence. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come out and share this. I love talking about it. I love sharing. I love having like one-on-one conversations with people. And I just want to say thanks again for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you everybody next time on another edition of A Handful of Hope. Bye-bye.
Bye.